Alright, so we are talking about the Tomorrow War. This movie does not deserve this thing because it's bad. It's really bad. It's like, wow, holy shit, it's bad. I wrote notes, so you know it's bad. Remember when I used to do reviews with the notes and the screenshots? I will get back to that. I do miss doing that kind of shit. Anyway, so wrote notes. 3 pages. Look at that shit. Anyway, so this movie deals with, it's science fiction, it deals with, alien creature dealing with jiggers. It's got Chris Pratt as a scientist, because that's believable. Remember when they were trying to, have us believe that Tara Reid was a scientist? Remember that? Yeah, time travel, alien shit, guns, all that stuff. Anyway, so the movie starts off where we end up 30 minutes later. It's like, oh my god, stuff's happening, and it's like, oh my god, what's this chaos? Blah 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 blah. Cut, and then it's like 5 years earlier or something, and it's like, god damn it! Literally, Chris Pratt is falling from the sky into a pool, falling from the sky into a rooftop pool. And, he seriously could have, as he's falling down, record scratch, you may have been wondering how I got myself into this situation. Dead ass, having one of those kind of moments. He's like, well, I'll let you know. Whoosh, into the water, rewind, and it's him, whatever year it was 2022 or some shit like that, or whatever the fuck it is, and, yeah, they probably would have done that. Yeah, Chris Pratt, scientist. Yeah, so Chris Pratt is a scientist. He is a school teacher, so very Mark Wahlberg and The Happening kind of thing, where we're like, sure, that's what you do. At least Bryan Cranston, as Walter White, Bryan Cranston has that science teacher feel to it. You're like, of course he is, But himbo-looking guys like fucking Mark Wahlberg and fucking Chris Pratt, as science teacher. I'm like, really? Okay, I believe that. So you learn that there is a threat from the future, and they are recruiting people from the past, which is, I guess, now, to fight the Tomorrow War. So they all have to travel to the future to fight a war so then we can save our past with the future, and the past with the future, and the past with the future, and the, anyway, love movies like this where you go, huh? So they don't show you the thing, the thing. No, I wish it was the thing. That's a great movie. They don't show you the creature, and even the movie kind of does one of those why aren't you showing us the creature? You haven't showed us on the news. You're just telling us we have to fight these white spikes or whatever the fuck you want to call them, and they're like, well, we don't want to show it because we don't want to cause a panic. Just realized my fan is on high and super loud. Anyway, we don't want to cause a panic, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I get it, but I also love that someone did in the movie go, kind of thing. Yeah, so, so when they go through, their draft, training or whatever not, I love how then, suddenly, Chris Pratt, he meets up with the comic relief guy, and, he's just kind of fumbling with the gun, and then Chris Pratt's like, oh, you gotta do this, that kind of stuff, and then the comic relief guy looks at him, and then I'm just like, oh god. And Chris Pratt's like, he's like, oh, yeah, ex-military, yeah, long story. Oh, I guess it's not that long of a story, and it's like, yeah, because you kind of have to slightly explain why he's, a beefy boy, oh, no, just the science teacher works out a lot. I mean, there was, that UFC fighter who was, a math teacher, But I mean, I think that's not something that, it's not a common occurrence. Anyway, yeah, he's ex-military, whatever. I also love that they're not in like specific uniforms. Like, oh, we've got to fight the thing. Here's, you know, like your uniform with the camo or whatever shit. It's just like people are there in jeans, in a t-shirt, you know, in a jacket, that kind of stuff, looking like members of Antifa, you know, that kind of stuff. Who's a fuck it? Yeah. I also love that the time travel explanation, it's not like we can hop between it's like fixed point here and then fixed point there, and we can only travel between the two, but you know, with a like really small window that you can travel through, you know, like you can travel back and forth from like a certain amount of time, but after that certain amount of time you can't do it ever again. And it's like, oh my god. And then this movie's like, yeah, god, this movie is like 2.5 hours long, and it's 2.5 hours too goddamn long. Oh yeah, so then we get to the transporting thing, which you see them go, like, instead of like walking through the Stargate or some shit like that, like they all just kind of like, they're there and all of a sudden they're like, whoa, they get kind of like raptured. And then we get to where the movie started. Here we go again. And like they literally fall from the sky, and that's like the dumbest, like, I don't even think you would call that fucking, you know, I don't know, usually time traveling is like, we're in a vessel, and then we kind of da-da-da. This is just like you were just teleported, you know? And yeah, so there's no like, oh, like, whoop, and then you're like, huh, you know, like, oh, this is the future. But it was just like, no, we're just gonna drop you from the sky. And so some people, like, hit that frickin', you know, roof, like, mad hard. Some just hit the side of the building, some just fall, really, you know, like, lots of death. And then Chris Pratt falls into a pool, which, you know, slightly safe landing, but you know he would be like, ah, you know, hitting that water, just like, ah, ah, you know. But no, it was like a cushion. It was like like just the marshmallow he landed on. He's fine. Oh, when we finally get to see the creature, the comic relief guy, like, this is my favorite part of the movie, and it's the most relatable part of the movie, and it's the only thing worth seeing. It's just the scene where they first see the monster, and then just like they see it, and all of a sudden they're like, oh no, and they start going at it. And then the comic relief guy has like the best reaction, which is he's running and gunning down, like, you know, some stairs, and he's just going shit, which is, that's all of us, that is all of us playing survival horror games. That's how all of it, that's when you're playing freaking Silent Hill, not Silent Hill, you don't really have a gun, and you don't really do, I mean, you do, I mean, you don't, but anyway, I meant Resident Evil, Jesus Christ, that's all of us in Resident Evil. And then, God, Paul mentioned, because I mentioned this to him, he said, there was some other game where he was like, oh yeah, because you're not, like, no, we were still talking about Resident Evil, never mind, yeah, but, yeah, it's like, there was another game that came to my mind. Anyway, but yeah, it's like that where you're like, oh shit, oh, Gears of War, that's the one I was thinking about. Where you're like, oh my god, and then the creature jumps over your gunfire, then you're like, wait, what button was it for the chainsaw? You know, yeah. So, there's that. And then the creatures, I think they made one, but it was a practical effect. They had an animatronic, because the company that did it, I follow them. Which, yes, you can tell a lot of it was CGI, but at least whatever was in front of them, like, the actors had something to react to. Because there are some times where, like, you can kind of tell, you know, when something has a practical effect and when it doesn't. Because when your actors all kind of have that same, like, oh shit reaction, well, you know, when there's something there for them to react to, instead of, like, you know, golf ball on a, like, tennis ball on a stick kind of thing, because there'll be one person who's like, oh, shit, you know, and then someone else is like, oh, what, you know, but if they all have that, like, the reaction of, in the first Transformers movie, where they're in the sand, you know, where Tyrese and friends, all just, like, the shot for the trailer thing happens, where they're all like, ah! You know, it's like, that makes it more believable, more fun, action, you know, scary things, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and so they're like, okay, we escaped the building, blah, 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 and then it's like, there was like a small envoy of like Humvees, like they're like, oh, we're like actual military shit. Okay, we'll help you, Chris Pratt and regular people. And then they're like, oh, thank God, you know, like you see the 3 Humvees coming, and they're like, thank you, with their guns. And all of a sudden the creatures just come and just go, fuck, no. I was laughing at that because you knew it was just gonna be, you know, like a bunch of these randos with guns, you know, going to fight the fucking Tomorrow War. Jesus Christ. Anyway, oh yeah, I mentioned the clothes thing. Oh, because they're like they had to get out of that spot. Oh, they're in Miami. They end up being in Miami. I don't know why. It's just like, oh, I gotta go to Miami. So they try their best to get out of that part of Miami and into safety, and they end up nuking the city, you know, just cause. I mean, if you watch 28 Weeks Later, you know, that's what us Americans do. We're like, we're gonna drop bombs on it, you know. Oh, and then you find out that the pretty blonde woman that they've been reporting to this entire time is Chris Pratt's daughter from the future, you know, and God, you know, bless that girl because, like, woman, she was acting her fucking ass off in this movie, and this movie did not deserve that type of acting, especially opposite of Chris Pratt, because she's just like, I saw you take your last breath. I was there when you died, and so being with you right now, it's like, you know, seeing a ghost, and she is like, ah! Like, she's there. You're like, oh my God. And then, you know, playing off of Chris Pratt, and Chris Pratt's like, oh, I'm sorry you had to go through that. And it's like, what? Like, no, man. You're definitely not, you know, the best of the Chris's, you know, at all. And then you're definitely not the best at emoting things, you know. You give this to frickin' Evans, oh yeah, he'll make you feel. You know, even with like frickin' Hemsworth, you know, you're like, ah, shit, oh, you're really pretty, so okay, I'll believe you. You give that to Chris Prine, you give it to Chris Pine, yeah, he got it, yeah, he fucking, I was supposed to say he played Shatner. He played, he didn't play Shatner, he played Kirk, anyway. Yeah, he's not the best Chris, not the best Chris. Anyway, yeah, so the daughter explains the future, all that stuff, explains, you know, how he dies and all that shit. And I love how this movie kind of like does the like the no thing with with future shit, which is like you're not supposed to tell someone like how, when, where they died. But this movie was like, oh, like that's why Chris Pratt got recruited, because they're like, oh, we saw that you die around the time that this stuff happened, so you could be recruited, so we know your future somehow. Like, I get, like, let's do this like a shittily like Looper thing or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like, okay. But instead this one is like, hey, interact with future, like, yeah, like interacting with the future daughter thing. It was like very like Interstellar too, where it's like, oh hey, dad's the same age, but you know, you've gotten older kind of stuff, and you're in charge of this thing, like whatever. Is that Lost? What did I write there? Oh, Lost Interest, yes. After the daughter was like, oh, and Chris Pratt was like, oh, I just lost interest in the movie, because like the movie just started at a 10 with like action shit, like total like Battle Los Angeles kind of shit. Remember that movie? The movie with that was one action scene, like scene. It was just like that, and then it goes from action, oh my God, boom, 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 to like emotional, and then it was just like, it just went to that, you know, it just went to that, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, you find out that comic relief guy didn't die, but, you know, he was like, I hid, and I'm like, bitch, I get it, like, of course, you know, some time goes by, oh, I wrote down, action, oh, okay, so then it's like, you learn about, like, a serum thing, you know, like, here we're on, like, this oil rig kind of thing where things are thing. That's literally what this movie is. Like, things happen. And it's like, again, oil rig, whatever, thingamajigger, like, fucking, you know, the serum that can kill them, and we figure it out, oh no, oh my God, we figured it out, that kind of stuff. But then it's too late, you know, and then, like, then the things are how, this is where I lost interest, so my brain is like, I don't even think you remember it correctly. Anyway, so the daughter sacrifices herself, for the greater good, for some reason, somehow for the dad to have more of a future, because she already has her future, so then he can have a future, so then he cannot have a future, again, we're doing that, self-sacrifice, but then he jumps in to, like, help her, so she, like, he sacrificed for her sacrifice. God damn it. Anyway, so, then it's like, of course, as he goes to sacrifice for her sacrifice, he gets freaking teleported back to current times, and then he's there, like, clutching on to, like, the serum and stuff, and he's like, it's too late, like, we can't go back, oh shit, but I have this serum thing, we gotta mass produce it, but they're like, but for what, we can't go back, and then I love how they get out, like, their, like, VA hospital kind of stuff, and then, they're greeted by family and all that stuff, and someone has a sign that says, best day ever! I just wrote down, best day ever. That had me dying, because it's like, you lose your daughter, you're gonna end up seeing your daughter again, but, like, at the current age you left her as, not the older one, and so then, but you're also like, how do I, and then we have the cure, but we can't go back, what do we do, and, so many people die, things are devastating, and again, you go to, like, leave, and someone's like, best day ever. It had me dying. Oh yeah, and so then, thinking that this is how you end the movie, like, I thought, like, oh, this is probably, like, how you end the movie, right? Because it's like, well, all hope is lost, like, we tried our best to go to the future, like, Edge of Tomorrow, shit, that's also something that it feels like, Jesus, here we go. Yes, this movie feels like The Happening, Interstellar, Edge of Tomorrow. That's a Looper. That's a combination of movies you want to put all together. Jesus. So yeah, like, so I thought that the movie was coming to an end, like, okay, all hope is lost, we can't do it, and then maybe, like, as the credits are going, it's just, like, quick little, like, not vignettes, but, like, how, like, towards the end of, like, 28 Days Later, see, now we're talking about 20 weeks, now we're talking about 28 days, where, like, there was a lot of, like, shot, black, like, it was just kind of, like, when they hit the car crash, I thought it was going to be something like that. I thought they were going to be like, all hope is lost, the movie ends, and it's like, but hold on, we figured it out, the end. Like, just kind of like they couldn't really do an ending. But no, there was still 30 minutes left. Why? And of course. So in the last 30 minutes of this movie, yeah. So, it kind of does it keeps doing this that I can't with this movie. It brings us back to the classroom where Chris Pratt was a teacher, because, one of the students is, like, obsessed with volcanoes, and because they learned about something with volcanic ash and things and stuff, like, him as a teacher goes up to the kid obsessed with volcanoes, he's like, well, explain to me more about volcanoes, child, and the kid is like, he's like, the volcano thing, and they're like, what? We have to go to anyway, we learn that the aliens have been here the whole time, that they didn't land, I was about to say something else, they didn't land on Earth when the shit happened in the future. They've been here, and they dug up, because this movie is about climate change, because it's talking about how, like, the permafrost and shit in Russia has been melting, so then they're able to, like, unfreeze and thaw and come through, and then they're like, because, yes, that's how it works. And so they end up so they figure out, they're like, okay, they've been here the whole time, that whole shit. Then they're like, now we've got to make the goo, and it's very, like, Reanimator, like, green, fluorescent goo, fine, and so then, like, they go to Russia, they go underground, and they find the thing, because, whatever. And then there's all the different pods of the aliens. And so while they're like just sleeping there, like, cool, we're, just chilling, they go and they start injecting the goo into each and every one of the aliens. Of course, Chris Pratt gets to like the last one and doesn't get to it, well enough, and that one escapes, and then the rest of the movie is literally just trying to kill the one alien. Which also, they also recruited his dad, which is played by J.K. Simmons, to help with the shooty stuff, like you do. And, because his dad's also a pilot and the whole, like, how do we figure this out? Conveniently, yeah, so then the, comic relief guy goes with them. He has, like, a big freaking, like, chainsaw thing. It's not a chainsaw, it's a circular saw, like the ones they use, like, on, like, cement and shit. What's his name? That guy? Yeah, that was English. The guy in Army of the Dead had it, Anyway, he's like, anyway. So there's that. There's one part where, like, again, self-sacrifice. J.K. Simmons is thinking, okay, I'm shooting, Again, this is where the Gears of War thing comes in. The thing says, fuck it, I'm gonna come right at you. You're like, okay, J.K. Simmons is dead. And then Chris Pratt just shows up out of nowhere in a snowmobile and knocks the alien over with the snowmobile. Because why not? Because by this time, watching this movie, sure. Go right ahead. You figured out something about volcanic ash, injecting it with goo, all that shit, sure. Yeah, so yeah, it's just so dumb. And then, anyway, long story short, the aliens are, long story short, it's a long-ass movie. They kill the aliens, the future's changed, no tomorrow war, no tomorrow war, none of that stuff. Of course, his kid, is alive, and the, definitely is not gonna suddenly die, falling off an oil rig kind of shit. All that stuff. We did it! We did it! We saved the future, Edge of Tomorrow, or whatever stuff. Yeah, so that was the movie. Because I ended up watching this movie because I was gonna watch the Fast and Furious movie, but they only released it in theaters, not theaters and streaming, and I'm just like, are you serious? And I'm not gonna break my streak of not watching any one of those movies in theaters. Hobbs and Shaw, or Wild Speed Super Combo, does not count, because that's a spin-off, But, anyway, yeah, so that was, oh god, Jesus, that was, the Tomorrow War. That was bad. That was bad. It's like dumb and bad, and it's not even like dumb and bad enough where, you get a group of friends and you watch and laugh at it, because you and your friends are just gonna be like, what is this shit? The entire time you're watching. It's, yeah, it's, whatever. Anyway, the end.